What's going on, everybody? How we all doing? We're live. That's weird. I've got this little flyaway over here. Oh, well, it's probably going to bug me the whole time, but it's all good. What's up, Instagram? What's going on, YouTube? How we all doing? Let's see. Oh, nice. We've got some people hopping here on Instagram. What's going on? Aguzan, you guys are all giving me hard usernames today. 13 parting 0001 Ash GTA. Welcome, everybody. How we doing over here on YouTube? Anybody here on YouTube? Yeah, we got a few peeps over on YouTube. What's going on, Mr. Nilesh? Surah JB J Bish. Look at all these usernames. Too much crazy. There we go. John B. the Genie. Thanks for having a simple username. I appreciate it. Thank you, software developer. I love it. I love simple usernames. Coder, let's code. Hey, I like that. How's it going, everybody? 13 Peridon asks, what are we talking about today? Well, anything we want. Coding questions, beginners, learning how to code, where to start as a beginner, tech, code, freelance, jobs, anything you want. Anything you want. Oh, there's some people in YouTube. What's going on, Travis and Shad DeHart? For those of you who don't know me, I'm Jason with DevSlopes, and I'm a full stack engineer over here at DevSlopes. I used to work at Dell as a full stack engineer, and now I'm here at DevSlopes coding and teaching web development in our web academy. So I work with students every single day, teach them how to code, and then work with them to land paid freelance jobs, and then also find employment. So yeah, very good stuff. And Shad DeHart, I have a meeting at 5 with Nathan. Oh, that's awesome. So you've got one of those career coaching calls set up. That's fantastic. And then GX Arvish, remember me. I might remember you. I don't know. There's a lot of usernames going around here, but if you want to enlighten me, then that'd be great. What's going on, Tandon? Hey, look, there's Andre. Love from New York. I love it. What's going on, Connor? Mindo T20. All right, let's kick off some questions. 13 Perdon asks encrypted usernames. Yeah, that's absolutely right. These are encrypted usernames. They are too encrypted to pronounce. Oh, hello from Morocco. Welcome. Hey. Tandon asks here on Instagram, for cybersecurity, what coding language should I start to learn? That's a great question. So I don't have a lot of experience with cybersecurity. Is this a first time? Like, are you a beginner programming diving into cybersecurity? Let me know. That's a pretty steep learning curve, I'd say, for a beginner. But again, if that's what you want to do, if you want to do cybersecurity, then by all means, take it and run with it. All right, welcome everybody. Afine, hey bro. Any other questions? Are you a MERN-stack developer? I am. So yes, Coder Nadir, I am a MERN-stack, Mongo, Express, React, and Node. Now I've also done the regular mean stack with Angular. So I've done that before, and I've worked with other backends and data like GraphQL before, and Firebase and all that fun stuff. So I have used a few different tech stacks. Python for hackers, any guidelines? Python for hackers. All these hacking questions today. Everybody wants to be a hacker. I'm not sure. I don't have a lot of experience with doing Python for hacking. I know it's fantastic for like backend for scripting. I guess you could probably use it as hacking, right? You can write your own malicious scripts to hack things. You can also use, Python for web development, things like that. Debeosh asks how to improve JavaScript. So once you get the basics of JavaScript down, what you'll want to do is get out of the tutorial phase. Okay, step out of the tutorial phase, and then go to websites like HackerRanks, Code Wars, Project Euler, and these are places that are going to give you JavaScript challenges to help you learn all those skills. All right, all those tools that you've learned in JavaScript, and then how to apply those in practical application, or at least even get you start thinking outside of the box about how you can leverage JavaScript to solve different problems and everything. And DevSlopes, we even have a 30-day code challenge that you could check out. So it's 30 days of challenges. So you can go to 30daycodechallenge.com, and we've got code challenges for JavaScript and Swift right now. So I'm not sure when the next challenge starts, but you can go ahead and register for the next challenge if you want to be involved in that. That's also a fantastic place to learn and to improve JavaScript. And plus, you'll have weekly live calls with a mentor and a coach that you can ask questions to and just talk about JavaScript all day long. So, Demetrius, how to land the first front-end job, zero experience. So, you have to start somewhere, right? So one of the things that can help accelerate that is start with a few freelance projects. Okay, build some websites, or whatever projects that you need to get some paid projects under your belt, part of your portfolio. And then when you go to apply for jobs, these employers will see your portfolio of work, but not just like a portfolio of like little tutorials you've done, right? This will be a portfolio of work that you've done that people have actually paid you for. And so that's going to help add to your credibility. All right. And this is whether you've gotten your computer science degree, that adds some credibility, but especially if you're a self-taught developer like myself, that's one of the best things that you can do is get some paid experience under your belt and then start applying for work. All right. Even taking on contract positions, that's going to give you some in the field experience, and that's going to help solidify or add that credibility for you in front of an employer. Hey, where do I practice for JavaScript? Well, there's tons of tutorials online that you can do. There's YouTube, or you can check out the DevSlopes Web Academy. Go to devslopes.com/apply. And I'm the Web Academy instructor, so I'd be happy to work with you, sharpening those JavaScript skills, and then how to move into a front end, and then eventually a full stack developer. All right, that's devslopes.com/apply, or go to 30daycodechallenge.com to join DevSlopes 30-day code challenge. All right, YouTube, I'm gonna hop over to your questions here in just a moment. All right, I'm gonna finish up a few more here on Instagram. All right, so Andrew, what backend language to learn for web development? Well, so what's really cool is with web development, you're already working with HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, right? So if you want to make this really smooth transition into backend, just pick up Node, because Node lets you write JavaScript on the server. All right, so you don't have to go and learn any new programming language like PHP or Python or Ruby or whatever backend languages, text that you can use. You could just use Node and then implement something like Express and then Mongo for the database for the backend, and it's actually a fairly smooth transition. That's how I got into backend development. When I worked at Dell, I was hired as a front-end developer, front-end engineer, and then during my time at Dell, they actually needed help with the backend. And so since obviously I know JavaScript and everything, it was actually a pretty smooth transition learning how to work with Node and Mongo and those other tech stacks, because I could just do everything in JavaScript. So it was really just kind of picking up different patterns about how to write server-side code. And then I was able to do a lot of back-end development. And then after leaving Dell, I was a full-stack developer. All right, let's check out YouTube here. What's going on, everybody? All right, Joao, a front-end dev question. How do I know when I am ready to freelance after studying HTML and CSS? So you're ready to freelance if you can build responsive websites, okay? They have to be responsive, and what I mean is they have to be able to the layout has to adjust and everything for mobile phones. All right. So if you can build mobile responsive designs in HTML and CSS, you can start doing freelance work for static websites. Like you'll more so find those for a small business, like a real estate agent just needs a landing page, someone to, come to their website and get more information about their business, or some small mom and pop shop, brick and mortar stores could use those. But you also just have to dive into it, right? You just kind of have to throw yourself out there to kind of gauge where you're at as a web developer with those skills. Now, I would highly recommend, you'll be better set up for success doing freelance work if you can include some JavaScript into that. And then another thing to consider doing front-end work here, freelance work, is almost every single business is going to want to work with a contact form. And so rather than building one from scratch, like using PHP, there's services like ConvertKit, MailChimp, ActiveCampaign. I think there's Netlify that all have these form services, and you'll need to know how to integrate that into the HTML so that when a user comes to that page, they can fill out a form and stuff. So you need to do that, and you also need to know how to deploy a website. All right, so, but to make it super easy, just use Vercel, or what's the other one? Netlify. Free hosting. You just purchase your domain and then connect it to your GitHub. And then like on the main branch, and then anytime you create a PR, like a pull request, there will be an automatic preview build URL built so you can view the website. And then once you merge that into the main branch, if that's your production branch, Vercel or Netlify will auto build your code and then deploy it for you. So fantastic tools that have completely automated it for you, and very low tech skills required for that. All right, Shad DeHart, I have finished the HTML, CSS 3 and JavaScript. I earned the certificates. Now what direction should I go? So first, congratulations. I think that's absolutely awesome that you've got that HTML, CSS, and JavaScript certificates. That's fantastic. Now, the next step that I would do is choose a front-end technology. All right, choose something like React or Vue. And then the reason why I'm saying these and not like Angular, Angular is full stack, okay? It's end-to-end. It involves TypeScript, which is a superset of JavaScript. And so it's a pretty steep learning curve. You can go that way if you want to get into the full stack. But to take these incremental steps, I would choose a front-end technology like React or Vue, learn that. And then the next step after that is you need to start thinking full stack. All right, so start working with like Node, because it's in JavaScript. You can write JavaScript on the server and then implement that Express and Mongo. And then you'll be a full stack developer and you'll know the MERN stack, right? And then after you can build a full stack app, that's pretty much, by that point, you're ready for, like fully ready for freelance and employment. All right. Good question. What else do we have here? Francie445, from the point of view of Friar frameworks, Vue.js is a good choice given the growth that is carrying forward, or is it better React? I tell you, I'm 16 and I'm having time to study. Thank you so much. So Francie, kudos to you for getting into programming. So Vue.js is awesome and React is awesome. Now, currently, Vue is, right? It's riding a wave and it's gaining more popularity, but you have to ask yourself, what is it that you want to do with these programming skills? Do you want to do freelance work? Do you want to do a startup? Do you want to get a career? I would say in most cities, most places here in the US, it's more common to find a React developer position than Vue. Now, Vue is coming up into the ranks, and we're seeing more startups use Vue. But as far as like larger companies, I'm not sure how many are adopting Vue. And that used to be the same way with React. React was like the hip language, the cool library to work with. And then over time, businesses started using it. So for an example, when I worked at Dell, the project that we were building was done in React, which was awesome. All right. Let's see. What else do we have? Shad says, I bought your full stack course and love it. Oh, that's awesome. Glad to hear. Vincent Pham, is Redux with React deprecated? No, nope. At Dell again, so we were using React and then we were using Redux for more of our state management at a high level, more at a global level. So no, it's not deprecated. A lot of positions actually are asking for React developers who also know Redux as well. Let's see. React Node, then into MERN correct? Yeah, yep, just like that. Josh Will Codes, how do I deliver projects to clients as a freelancer? So that's another good question. That's one of the other challenges as being a developer. So I don't know if you're doing web, iOS, or Android, Josh Will, but what you can do is web development if you are hosting on Netlify or Vercel. Like I had mentioned earlier, you can create these preview builds and send kind of like a demo link over to the client. And then when you're ready to launch to production, you can just merge that pull request on GitHub into your main branch, and then you'll build a production. And then you're also asking how to deliver projects to the client as a freelancer. You could actually set up a GitHub account or a Bitbucket account, one of these, version control accounts, to store the code in. So if you're working with a client, just have them set up a GitHub, and then they can invite you as a developer to that GitHub account. So you can do all the read, write, access, create the pull requests, merge code, all that fancy stuff. And so they can invite you. That way they keep their account, private to them, but you'll be able to manage the code from there. And then at the end of the day, it's up on their repository, so they own and can keep that code. And that's the same if you're doing iOS development or Android development. You can keep all the code on one of these repositories, and the client can invite you as a developer to work on it. All right. Vednish, is data structures very important for becoming a web developer? I would say yes. Yeah, it is. Now, do you need to perfect them and know them right out of the gates in the beginning? No, but getting a basic concept of what data structures are, yes, it's going to help you be able to work and think in JavaScript much, much better. And I guess, you're asking web developer specifically, but yes, data structures in all programming languages is good to know. And then it's something I would definitely perfect or get more experience with later down the road. It's super important to understand them. All right, and let's hop over here to Instagram. All right, what do we have here? Welcome everybody who's hopping on. Panos, have you ever worked with a Greek? With a Greek, is it easy to get foreigners for work in the US? Yeah, it's fairly easy. So at Dell, when I was over at Dell, we had an offshore team over in Russia, in St. Petersburg. And I know a lot of businesses who have outsourced work overseas. So yes, there is a lot of US based clients that have hired overseas because it is, better pricing and everything. But one of the challenges that we found, and even when I was at Dell, is kind of that time zone difference. It's not hard to work with, but there's a very small window where the time is kind of convenient for both the client and the development team when they're on opposite ends of the world. All right, so that's probably one of the main challenges there. All right, what else do we have? Sam Ivic asks, do Linux Professionals Institute LPI DevOps Tools Engineers Certification worth it? You know what? I have no idea. I don't know the answer to that question. Up 16 asks, websites for JavaScript practice. Absolutely. Build interactive UIs. So build websites that, can navigate to different pages and have different types of user interactions. They click a button, it does this. They fill out a form, it does this. Build code that can build HTML dynamically to the DOM. So like if you have a carousel, have it loop through data in code and then build the HTML to the DOM on the fly versus hard coding in the carousel. Like there's so many amazing things that you can do with JavaScript when learning web development to get more JavaScript practice in. Wadaram Nadev, something like that. Hey, you're struggling to learn to code, you think? All right. So if you're learning to code on your own, that's very common. It's normal. All right. And you're saying that you need a community. So there are communities out there, and I do understand how hard it is to find those communities. So I was a self-taught developer. I didn't even know that development communities existed. I just started to learn how to code. I was doing tutorials. I was on my own, and it sucked. I hated it. I got very frustrated, very lost, and I was struggling to learn myself. So one suggestion that you could do is you could go to devslopes.com/apply. We have a web development academy, and I am the instructor and mentor. So I will personally work with you. I will help you learn how to code. I will give you structure and guidance and what to learn. And then I will work with you until you get paid work or land a job. Guaranteed. All right. That's what we do at the DevSlopes Academy. So again, you can go to devslopes.com/apply to get that extra structure and accountability and mentoring if you'd like. All right. What is different between programmers from bad ones? So what difference differentiates good programmers from bad ones? Okay, so this is a really good question. I wouldn't say it's good programmers versus bad ones. I would say it's good practices and bad practices, right? Because even as a beginner, somebody's learning and they might not be using the best practices, but I wouldn't say that makes them a bad programmer. So one of the biggest things is, what's the word that I'm looking for? Give me a moment. My brain just went blank. It's problem solving. All right. So as a beginner developer or someone who's maybe not using good practices or inexperienced, some of the things that they might do to solve problems is just write code, save it, and then look at it in the browser. Write code, save it, look at it. Try this, try that, without any real direction. They're just trying things. It's kind of like taking a pile of crap, right? And then throwing it at the wall and then seeing what sticks. That's basically what they're doing. Whereas a good programmer, what they would do is they would go in and actually analyze the problem. And before they write code or hit save or look at the results in the browser or whatever they're logging out the data to, is think of the solution and actually plan out what the solution might be. Like dig deep into what the bug is instead of just trying random different things and seeing if it fixes the problem. So as a beginner developer, I used to do that all the time. I was like, oh, this is undefined. Well, what if I try this? What if I try this? What about this? What about this? And I would waste so much time just trying stuff instead of actually just taking a step back and really thinking logically about what is actually going on here. All right. I'll give one more example. A good programmer will go in and solve a problem fast. Okay. Now, speed obviously is going to depend on the developer and experience, but basically what I mean is they'll just go in and solve the problem versus another developer who might be like super elegant in their code and they want to streamline the process. And like, oh my gosh, I know how I could automate this whole process, but it doesn't need that automation yet. It doesn't need that dynamic, more modular way of writing code yet. It's just, we need to solve a problem because there's a bug on the website and we need to get it to production ASAP. A good developer will just go in and fix that. They won't try to make it the most extravagant solution in the world, super dynamic, modular, scalable, and things like that. They just get the job done. And then later you can always go back and refactor and make it more scalable. Let's see. Traverse asks, how do you combine Java with the front end? Well, Java's already on the front end. Like, I mean, I guess it depends on what you're coding, right? So a lot of Java is used just on the front end. Manisha asks where I'm from. I am currently in Austin, Texas. Ooh, this is a good question. I really want to answer this. I cannot pronounce your username because it is encrypted. It's like Abdul Anar Rashid. I guess that wasn't too complicated, but it's something along those lines. You asked, does college give you a good experience for learning code? No, it does not give you a good experience for learning how to code. Most of college is going to be a lot of theory and depth into the whole computer science realm of things. If you want good experience learning how to code and get hands-on experience, you are not going to get that from college. College is not going to teach you the skills necessary to actually get a job, like version control using Git, NPM packages, things like that. It just doesn't. And I have friends and family who have gone to college and spent 4 years in college and then have come, $70,000, $80,000 in debt and have finished it and be like, I still don't know anything about programming. Like, they did so little of actual hands-on coding in college because 80% of it was all theory. And the other thing is college, you'll learn programming for about, and I'm speaking of experience from friends and family, okay? I never got a computer science degree. All right, I'm speaking from experience from friends and family who have gotten a computer science degree, is you will learn a topic like actual hands-on coding for a month, and then just randomly you're going to switch gears and go to some learn about geography or English or art or whatever for 2 to 3 months, and then you're going to circle back to programming, and you can't learn how to code like that. You cannot be taking these huge breaks between learning to code. That's not how a person learns how to code. You've got to have hands-on experience every single day. Okay, you've got to code every day. And so that's why college is not a good experience for learning how to code. Okay, and you do not need college to get a computer science degree to get a programming job. Let's see. All right, YouTube, I'm going to hop over here in just a second here. I'm going to finish up some questions with Instagram. All right, we're going to go for a couple more minutes. There's a lot of questions coming in, but I'm one human and I can't answer all of them. Let's see. Web learners. Let's see. Can you suggest the best backend languages? There's not a best backend language. It's what backend technology is going to give you an end-to-end solution. Is it scalable? Does it fit kind of what you need? There's so many different backend languages. Sure, you could pair up, I don't want to say a bad language, but you could choose a programming language or a backend technology that's more difficult to work with a particular front-end programming language that you've chosen. But I wouldn't say that there's a best one. It's just which one does the job. Let's see, Natashi, how much is the mentorship and the coaching program? So Natashi, that's a great question. I would head over to devslopes.com/apply, set up one of our free career coaching calls. The reason we don't have pricing listed on our website is because there is so many different type of payment options that a student can do. But generally, it's the price of about a semester in college. All right, and you have lifetime access to it. We do weekly live meetups. You can reach out to me anytime that you want, and I will be there to help mentor and coach you. We have a huge community that is very engaging and active, which is nice. And I will work with you personally until you land paid freelance work or get your job. Whatever you want to do with programming, I will work with you until you hit that goal, period, guaranteed. All right. How do you combine Java with the front end? We asked that question. Am I in the right? Let's see. What's the difference? Let's see, we asked, what's the difference between a software engineer and a software developer? The terms are interchangeable. Like someone says a programmer, a software engineer, a software developer, a web developer. I mean, it's kind of all part of the same thing. I wouldn't say there's really any difference between it. Are there more job options with a degree? I would say no. The reality is, at the end of the day, an employer or a client, whether you're freelancing or getting a job, at the end of the day, all anybody wants is somebody who can write code. They don't care if you have a degree. So I'm a self-taught developer. I got hired at Dell. I worked there for several years. On the requirements for the job position, it said a computer science degree. It said 7 years experience in JavaScript and 5 years experience in React. That was what was in the job requirements. I do not have a computer science degree. I'm self-taught. I only had 3 years experience in JavaScript and 1 year experience in React. And they hired me. They liked my code. I did well through the tech interviews. They liked my personality. They checked out my portfolio. They gave me the thumbs up. They're like, this guy is great. Let's hire him. He would be an asset to the team. So that's what happened. Just Look at God asks, should I learn data structures before JavaScript or only when using backend? So I'm not exactly sure what you mean with data structures. I mean, they're used on, I guess, both, right? Well, I guess what I'm thinking in my head is you have data structures in JavaScripts, like there's objects, strings, numbers, everything like that, arrays. Those are all part of a data structure, right? And then you have the back end and you have schemas, which is kind of the data structure of your data. I'm not sure exactly what you're asking, but if you're learning JavaScript and data structures kind of go hand in hand. Learn the data structure so you know how it relates to like a string, number, a function, array, things like that. And then you can perfect them later down the road. But yes, they are important to understand. All right, cool. That's all the questions for Instagram. Instagram, pause your questions, okay? I'm going to jump over to YouTube and then we're going to end this stream. Shad Dahart says, I would be happy to have you as a mentor. That's awesome. Yeah, I'd love to work with you. I'd be honored to. So devslopes.com/apply and let's see what happens. Okay. Let's see. How do you overcome a career gap? Let's see. I'm not sure exactly how you're wanting to, swing that question, whether it's you're applying for a developer position and you have 0 programming experience, or if in your development or in your work history, you just have a gap. I'm not sure how to do it. Just skip the gap. If there's a gap, there's a gap. What is the best website to start freelance as a beginner? That's a great question. I do know. Let's see. What is the best website to start freelancing as a beginner? Are you asking what website you can go to learn how to do freelancing? So, Joswill, if you join the DevSlopes Web Academy, we teach all of that. All right. So a lot of us, the coaches and the mentors, have done freelancing before and have a lot of experience with it. I personally have, about 2 years of freelance work under my belt. I've done everything from small website projects to a project that paid out just over $100,000. All right, over the course of like 9 months. So we do all of that. We have weekly live meetups, and if you come join the meetup and you have questions about freelancing and how to land jobs and all that stuff, we work with you to do that. Like all of that. We work with you to land paid projects. We review your resume, your LinkedIn, show you how to set up your Upwork account, how to bid out projects, how to work with clients, how to, avoid scope creep. That's when a client tries to add more work to what you've already bidded out. Like we do all of this at the DevSlopes Academy. So again, devslopes.com/apply. and we can help you with all of that. Let's see. Stay balanced. I posted some comments on the how to make 2021 not suck, but they were deleted twice. Why is that? I have no idea. Is that a YouTube DevSlopes has? I'm not in charge of any of the social media, and I have no idea. So if that's our video, I don't know. All right, I'm going to take 2 more questions here. All right, 2 more questions, one from YouTube, one from Instagram. I want to get mentored at DevSlopes, but pursue a React Native job afterwards. Would the web dev program be best to pursue, even though it's not mobile, but I still want to learn JavaScript and React? Yeah, absolutely. It would be 100% relevant because you're going to learn everything about programming. And then the cool thing with React Native is it works in a very similar manner as React. And we teach JavaScript and React in the Web Academy. And so picking up React Native is going to be a lot easier because you're going to be familiar with how React components and everything is built. On top of that, the DevSlopes Academy already has plans after the Web Academy is finished. There's only a little bit more content that needs to be finished for it. We already have plans to do a React Native Academy or like a mini academy or something. So yeah, the DevSlopes Academy would definitely point you in the right direction for that. All right, one more question from Instagram. Hey, I saw your web dev program. It seems a little unrealistic to finish React in just 1 week. What do you think about that? So React, I don't know where you're looking at this, but there is some information floating around there that does need to be updated. Absolutely, you cannot finish the React in 1 week. So React was so big. I'm in the middle of recording our React segment right now, and there's actually 4 different modules for React, which I guess you could say is spread out across 4 weeks. So that's a month. But yes, learning React in just a week is a little bit unrealistic. And wherever that is, we need to update it. I know we have an old curriculum roadmap floating around somewhere that needs to be updated. So I'm glad you brought up that question. All right, everybody, we're over time here, okay? We've been rocking out for like 40 minutes together. So thank you, everybody who has hopped on. If you have questions, go to devslopes.com. If you want to apply for the Web Academy or any of our iOS or Android academies, go to devslopes.com/apply. If you want to check out the code challenge that DevSlopes does, go to 30daycodechallenge.com. All right, so many cool things to get into programming. Thank you all for hopping on and joining. As always, stay positive, keep calm, and code on. Adios.